everyone, I am Giselle G. Billones, Master of Arts in Educational Management student of RAMON MAGSAYSAY Memorial Colleges. And for today's EDUC 200, we are going to talk about two philosophies. And these are idealism and realism. Idealism? Realism? Do we know their goal of education, methods of instruction, curriculum, and role as a teacher? Let's find out. Let's go to idealism. What is idealism? It is the oldest systematic philosophy in Western culture, which is believed that ideas are the only true reality. This philosophy begins with Plato, a philosophical belief claiming that material things are imaginary, that material things do not exist independently, but only in the constructions in the mind. How do idealism develop? First, we have Platonic idealism. Platonic idealism, by Plato, people should concern themselves in searching the truth, importance and use of dialectic or critical discussion. We have also religious idealism. Idealism has exerted considerable influence on religion. God as universal good, truth as universal good. Augustine also formulated that concept of good is God and concept of evil is Adam. It implies to what they called two worlds. Man, matter, is bad. God, the idea, is good. Augustine believed that the senses were unreliable and that belief in God rests ultimately on faith. He said that we must first believe in order that we may know. Now let's go to modern idealism. First up, we have René Descartes. According to René Descartes, the only thing that can be known is whatever is going on in our minds. Nothing of an external world can be directly accessed or known about. Thus, the only true knowledge we can have is that of our own existence. A position summed in his famous statement, "I think, therefore I am." George Berkeley. He believed that all existence depends on some mind to know it. If no mind exists, then for all intents and purposes, nothing exists unless it is perceived by the mind of God. His main purpose is to make evident that God exists, and to prove that God is the true cause of all things. Also, we have Immanuel Kant. To Kant, the essence of education should not be simply training. The important thing was enlightenment, or teaching a child to think according to principles as opposed to mere random behavior. We have George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, which he believed that spirit is the final stage or synthesis of idea and nature. We also have Josiah Royce. For him, ideas are essentially purposes or plans of actions that the fulfillment of ideas is found when they are put into actions. Interest in idealism does not end there. It continued in several countries. And because of those chief components of idealism, we have now the fundamental principles of idealism. First, spirit and mind constitute reality. Man, being spiritual, is a supreme creation. God is the source of all knowledge. Values are absolute and unchanging. What is ultimately real is not the object, but the ideas behind it. and man is not the creator of values. What are the 5 fundamental principles of idealism? What is the metaphysics of idealism, or the nature of reality? The self is the primary reality of individual experience. Ultimate reality is self. Ultimate reality may be one or many. The individual self has all the freedom. What about the axiology of idealism, or the nature of values? Values are real existence. Evil is not the real existence. The individual person can realize value by actively relating parts and wholes. Epistemology of idealism, or the nature of knowledge. The ultimate knowledge is the knowledge of spirituality. Idealism and critical realism are alike in their treatment of perception to some extent. Some idealists support direct experience of the self. Surrounding world is important to experience the self. Reality can be logically unified total system, a universal mind. Let's go now to idealism as the philosophy of education. What are the goals of education in idealism? Search for truth. Philosophical wisdom, or the conception of true ideas, is the highest aim of education in idealism. Self-realization. Idealism has exerted so much influence on educational views about individual mind and self. Character development. Many idealists are concerned with moral character as an outgrowth of thinking and thoughtful actions. Methods of instructions in idealism. Dialectic. A method of seeking truth through a series of question and answer. Intuitive approach. Based on what one feels to be true, even without conscious reasoning. Lecture method. Instructor acts as the primary information giver. The instructor typically stands in front of the students with the use of visual aids such as chalkboard and handouts, and also reading great books such as holy books and astronomy. We have also other idealist methodology such as projects, supplemental activities, library research, and artwork. And one of the known methods of instruction in idealism is self-directed activities. It is the self-chosen activities and life experiences of the person being educated. The curriculum in idealism. Teach students to think. Idealists think that humans can become more noble and rational by developing ability to think. Idealists believe that mind, which can conceptualize, create, and can accumulate facts, need to be nourished and developed. What is the role of the teacher in idealism? Assist students in choosing important materials. Serve as an exemplary models. Teachers are expected to encourage students to ask questions and to provide a suitable environment for learning. Socratic characteristics. Analyzing, discussing with others, encourage their students to better their thinking. Infuses them with a desire to improve their thinking in the deepest possible way. Now that you know a lot about idealism, let's go now to realism. What is realism? The term realism comes from the Latin realist, who is to be really, really real. Realism refers to the things exist whether or not the human mind perceives them. Aristotle was the leading proponent of idealism and the first philosopher to develop systematic theory of logic. In more deeper meaning of realism, it is a philosophy that assumes that there is a real external world that can be recognized, and these are the two famous realists, Aristotle and Thomas Aquinas. What are the 5 fundamental principles of idealism? Phenomenal world is true. Senses are the doors of knowledge. Opposition of idealism. Man is a part of material world. Emphasis on experiment and observation. What are are the values in realism? External world is the reality. Man will discover reality with the use of science and common sense through education or learning. Mind is functioning and is geared towards creativity. Reality can be proved by observation, experiment, experiences, and scientific reasoning. Values must be studied to be applied in actual setting. Forms of realism in education. First, we have scholastic. Scholastic relied on authorities from the past. Synthesizing of knowledge, deductive approach to reasoning, use of syllogistic logic. Humanistic. Aim to secure a knowledge of human society and its institution of nature, and man's reaction to nature, chiefly through the content and not the form of classics. Social. Education is the reaction against a type of education that produces scholars and professional men to the neglect of the men of affairs. Example, practice. Sense. The sense realism in education emphasizes the training of the senses. Senses are the gateways of knowledge, and learning takes place the operation of the senses. And neorealism. Neorealism is really a philosophical thought. They support the education of art with a science and analytical system of education with the humanistic feelings. What are the goals of education in realism? Preparing the child for happy and successful life. Preparing the child for the real life. Developing the physical and mental power of the child. Developing and training of senses. Acquainting the child with nature and social environment. Imparting vocational education. Understanding the world through inquiry. The study of science in scientific method. I need to know the world in order to ensure survival and good life. Basic essential knowledge with no nonsense approach. Transmit culture and develop human nature. Methods of instruction in realism. Emphasis on critical reasoning through observation. Supports accountability and performance-based teaching. Scientific research and development. Mastery of facts. Recitation, experimentation, demonstration, drills, and exercises. Education should proceed from simple to complex, from concrete to abstract. Enhance learning through direct or indirect experiences, like field trips, lectures, films, TV, audio-visual aids, computer technology, and library. Learning is based on facts, analysis, questioning. Vernacular to be the medium of instruction. Precision and order, ringing bells, time periods, daily lesson plans, prepackaged curriculum materials. Children should be given positive rewards. What is the curriculum in realism? Develop according to utility and needs. Subjects concerning day-to-day activities. Main subjects are natural science, physical science, health culture, physical exercise, math, geography, history, and astronomy. Let's go to the role of the teacher in realism. In realism, the teacher is supreme, brings the child in touch with external realities of life, imparts scientific knowledge in an easy and effective way, gets testing results that can help prove that the students are learning the material. He must be able to correlate between utility in daily life and education. He should define simple rules. He should teach subjects in proper order. He needs to find out the interest of the child and teach accordingly. As an educator, it is very important for us to know the difference between idealism and realism. For us to understand more about these two philosophies of education, let's take a look at the difference between idealism and realism. The leading proponent in idealism are Plato and Socrates, while in realism it is Aristotle. The goal of education in idealism is to discover and develop each individual's abilities and full moral excellence, and to search for truth and further the character development of learners. While in realism, it is to understand the world through inquiry, verify ideas in the world of experience, teach things that are essential and practical, and develop the learner's rational power. The methods of instruction in idealism is to focus on handling ideas through lecture, discussion, and Socratic dialogue. Character is developed through imitating examples and heroes, while in realism, focus on mastery of facts and basic skills through demonstration and recitation. The curriculum in idealism is based upon the spiritual nature of man. In realism, emphasizes the subject matter of the physical world, particularly science and mathematics. The role of the teacher in idealism is to serve as a guide for immature learners, judge important material, and model appropriate behavior, expected to be an excellent and all-around person, while in realism, organizes and presents content systematically within a discipline, demonstrating use of criteria in making decisions. Now that you know the difference between idealism and realism, let me ask you, what kind of teacher are you? Are you an idealist or a realist? So that's it. I hope that you learned a lot from me today. Always remember, as an educator, if we properly played our parts, our success can be found in our students' mind and heart. I am Giselle G. Billones. Thank you for watching.